The Fraser River in British Columbia is renowned for its gold nuggets. It's on everyone's bucket list to find at least one nice one, so that's why we're here. A new worldwide gold rush is starting, and we want a little piece of it. This is where the Fraser River meets the Cayuche Creek. You can see that the Fraser is a kind of chocolatey milk color due to all of the sediment and the large volumes of water it carries versus the Cayuche, which is fed from the Seton and Anderson lakes, which are crystal clear and mountain fed. The difference is pretty stark. Often where two major water sources meet, it's slowing down the flow, and that deposits heavier materials like gold. And this is also where the local panning reserve in Lillooet is, so it's kind of a cool spot. Alright, new Canadian gold rush. Let's go find some gold. Here is the hike of our Fraser River gold claim. We found a nice little deposit here at the end here of this waterfall. Plants are taking a rest. And we're almost down about 3/4 of the way. So we'll see what we can find here. Alright, we finally made it down the massive waterfall that if for some reason in the fall has more water than in the spring flood time. And you can see this looks very different at low water than at high water. So much extra ground. Our claim just goes on and on and on. So all of this can be processed. If we can't find anything here, there's something wrong. Beautiful spot. Okay, so we're in this little kind of low pressure zone where the river normally flows by and is above my head here at high water. And then there's a nice little boulder, black sand on both sides, and just under the black sand there's some gravel. And if you look closely too, you can see a bunch of mica and sparkly stuff on top. Probably means nothing, but clearly we can convert some fool's gold and iron pyrite and mica into some real gold. So you can see in these types of areas there's all sorts of bedrock, things that are breaking apart. A bunch of nuggets and stuff can fit in all these little material, little cracks and crevices. So first order of business, we're going to test some of these black sand piles and little gravel depositions that are behind some of these large boulders. Like this boulder is as big as a smart car. And there's nice little bits of gravel under the support boulders underneath. You can see how everything's sort of eroded. And then to the front and back there's little piles of black sand and gravel that hopefully have flood gold. There's Prospector Janet. Panning away. And we're on a famous gold rush river, and you can just see my first piece of gold there. Whew, huge! And then there's a couple very, very small pieces down in the fines here. But some people aren't happy with getting a speck or two out in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, this is a famous gold rush river, and there's pan number 5, only one speck. But we're out here for nuggets and to find more specks. Turn one speck into 5 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 50, and then that's where you start to really do well. But with enough land here, I bet we'll be able to find more than one speck. You can see some interesting quartz veining. These little stringers. They're going out into the bedrock. And then as water runs over them, if there's any microfine gold in here, it'll gradually just leach out, and that'll be a source of a large percentage of the flour gold that finds its way into these river systems. Okay, I really like this bank here. There's a bunch of black sand and gravels, cobbles mixed up, and find all these boulders in the bedrock as it's broken apart. And then if you line up here and draw a straight line out here, I was standing up here somewhere at high water, and you can just see the water whipping in here, and it hits this kind of wall and drops off and makes a low pressure zone in this area. So this is another place where there's potential for flower gold, so we'll definitely have to check it out here. Especially you look down, it's just a literal pile of black sand. We'll see if it has gold. A little bit smoky out too. This country is so warm that I'm not really surprised. It was 37 C yesterday when we came in here. Our truck almost melted down. It's the Mars biome. I take a rockier sample here from behind this big boulder. That's directly within the river channel. And then at high water marks way up there. Some more potential, something flows through. So I hit this rock with my secret karate chop technique, and it split right in half. Kind of an interesting looking thing though. Definitely looks very different on the inside than the outside. Kind of a middle panorama. The shine on these rocks. One of these times I hope I'm going to get lucky here, and one of these big beaches of black sand will be just loaded. One can hope. But I think it's pretty obvious the Fraser has such volume going through it. It's such a deep river too, where we're down I think 6 meters here, but there's still a solid 8 or 9 meters of water in the main river channel. That's a lot. And you can just see imagine how kind of the nuggets and all the heavier flood gold would merge into the heavier zones that are still underwater. Guess we need to plan even later trips. Here's something pretty cool. If you look, we've got some nice kind of slaty bedrock with little bits of quartz in it. And then you can see that the river's running through this, so this functions just like a natural sluice box as this rolls through here. And it's actually flat enough that there might be something here. We'll definitely metal detect this area, and I'll do a sample of the material that's on the top here. You can see just how red this stuff is. It's like blood. This is why there's some areas like around horsefly. This is where the color of the water can be very different. There's iron-rich materials in there. You can almost use this for war paint or something. It's pretty strange though. You can see a lot of these are sedimentary rocks, but the way they're stacked up and angled, all these faults have done some crazy stuff, and the way this rock is broken up and twisted, and that's why geology is fun, because it's a big game to figure out how all this stuff came together and use it as clues to find gold and other cool stuff. Every few steps is amazing out here. All the geology is different, all the plants and stuff are different. Just look at this. Goo. What the heck is that? That's remarkable. It's like out of a putty shop or something. Very strange. And it's like it's textured. It's very odd. It's odorless. Many of these rocks have an oily appearance. Coloration is definitely strange. I almost think we're near Fort McMurray with the oil sands than the Fraser. Right, and then at the end of the walking distance here, there's kind of two pretty sheer cliffs. And you can see, hopefully there's a little eddy there on both sides that create low pressure zones. So I'd imagine a lot of this stuff is going to concentrate along here and then skip a lot of the area we were down earlier. But you can definitely see the main river channel just whipping, and there'll be lots of concentrating effects on the low pressure zones that are on the edge of this main flow over here. We did a large number of test pans, but weren't able to locate any decent grades of gold. We did find a lot of cool rocks though, and put in enough work value that we can come back and prospect next year. It's a little bit frustrating to get down there and still have the water levels be a little bit too high, but now we know to try later in the year in this area. Still, it was lots of fun, and I feel like we're getting one step closer to those nuggets. We're at Lillooet. It's like, thanks a lot, California. You can barely see the mountains, just the silhouette. Got all the California wildfire smoke up here. It's just concentrating in this valley, the Lillooet and the Fraser and Lytton and all these little places are based on. But you can just see the very, very edge of the mountain there in the distance. It's actually showing it better in the camera than I can see with my real eyes. You can just barely see it.